Ma'am, I'm stopping you because your license plate didn't come back registered. The Orlando police officer's words hung in the air, heavy with tension. Little did he know, the driver's response would soon leave him stunned. Don't worry, I'm the state attorney. With these simple words, Aramis Ayala, Florida's first black state attorney, set in motion a chain of events that would expose deep-rooted issues in law enforcement. The air crackled with unspoken tension as the officer's eyes widened in surprise, his hand instinctively tightening on his notepad. As we reflect on this real-life story, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more daily stories that need to be heard. Hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. As the encounter unfolded, bystanders couldn't shake the feeling that they were witnessing something significant. The sun beat down on the Florida asphalt, but a chill ran through the onlookers as they watched the interaction between law enforcement and one of the state's most powerful legal figures. The warm Florida evening air hung heavy as Aramis Ayala's car glided down the street. Her mind lingered on the day's events, the familiar sights of Orlando passing by her window. Suddenly, the flash of blue lights in her rearview mirror shattered her peaceful reverie. Two police cruisers appeared behind her, their presence unmistakable. Ayala's heart quickened, a familiar unease settling in her stomach like a lead weight. As she pulled over to the curb, Ayala's mind raced. What could they possibly want? She had done nothing wrong. Of that she was certain. Her legal training and life experiences flooded her consciousness, reminding her to stay calm and alert. The crunch of gravel underfoot announced the officer's approach. Ayala watched in her side mirror as he drew near, his hand resting casually on his holster. When he reached her window, his voice was gruff, almost rehearsed. License and registration, please. Ayala complied, her movements deliberate. As she handed over her documents, she observed every detail, the officer's body language, his tone, the way his partner hung back by the patrol car. Each piece of information filed away is potentially crucial for what might come next. The officer's demeanor shifted as he examined her ID. His eyes widened slightly, a flicker of recognition passing across his face. Uncertainty crept into his expression, replacing his earlier bravado. The change was subtle, but to Ayala's trained eye, it spoke volumes. At that moment, Ayala made a decision. I'm the state attorney, she stated calmly, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. The effect was immediate. The officer stumbled over his words, attempting to explain the reason for the stop. But his explanation felt hollow, riddled with inconsistencies that Ayala easily detected. She listened intently, her face a mask of professional curiosity, even as her inner voice screamed at the injustice of it all. As the officer continued his fumbling explanation, Ayala knew this encounter was far from over. The familiar script of a routine traffic stop had been flipped on its head, and she found herself in a unique position, both subject to the law and its highest representative in that moment. The irony wasn't lost on her. Little did either of them know that this seemingly routine stop on a warm Florida evening was about to ignite a firestorm. As Ayala prepared to dig deeper into the officer's motivations, she couldn't have predicted how far the ripples of this encounter would spread, challenging long-held assumptions about power, race, and justice in America. The officer's fumbling explanation hung in the air as Aramis Ayala stood poised, her keen legal mind dissecting each word. The warm Florida night seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the next move in this unexpected chess match of authority and justice. What was the tag run for? Ayala asked, her tone measured but firm. The question, deceptively simple yet laden with implications, revealed cracks in the officer's narrative. His halting response painted a picture of routine procedure, but Ayala's trained ear caught the subtleties. As she processed the implications, Ayala couldn't shake the feeling that this stop was about more than just a license plate check. Years of experience as a black woman in the legal system had honed her instincts, and right now, they were screaming that something wasn't right. The air grew thick with unspoken accusations as Ayala calmly requested the officer's information. Her voice remained steady, but her heart raced with a mixture of frustration and determination. She knew that this moment could be a powerful tool in addressing the systemic issues she had fought against for years. The officers' body language betrayed their discomfort as they realized the full weight of Ayala's position as state attorney. The scrutiny they were accustomed to giving was now firmly fixed upon them, and the power dynamic shifted palpably. As Ayala prepared to drive away, she knew this incident would not be swept under the rug. A fire burned within her, fueled by years of similar experiences and a fierce determination to enact change. She had spent her career advocating for equitable treatment in the legal system, and now she found herself at the center of a situation that epitomized the very issues she had been fighting against. Ayala couldn't help but reflect on the countless individuals who faced similar situations without the protection of her title or legal knowledge. The weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders, a familiar burden that she had carried throughout her career. She knew that her response to this incident would ripple far beyond this Florida street, potentially sparking crucial conversations about accountability and law enforcement. As the lights of Orlando streamed past her car window, Ayala steeled herself for the challenges ahead. This traffic stop may have been unexpected, but she was prepared to use it as a catalyst for the change she had long sought. With the evidence captured and her own unwavering resolve, Ayala was ready to transform this personal encounter into a powerful statement on justice and equality. The sun rose on a new day, but for Aramis Ayala, it might as well have been a new world. Her phone's incessant buzzing heralded a shift in the air. The quiet tension of last night had given way to a roaring tide of public opinion. What had happened while she slept? Ayala's fingers trembled slightly as she tapped the screen to play the body cam footage that had now been released to the public. Her breath caught in her throat as she watched the encounter unfold, reliving each tense moment. Her legal mind analyzed every word, every gesture, knowing that millions of others were doing the same. Social media exploded with a cacophony of voices. Outrage, support, and everything in between flooded comment sections and timelines. The incident had touched a raw nerve, igniting passionate debates across the country. Prominent activists took to Twitter, their words fanning the flames of discussion about racial profiling and police accountability. As Ayala scrolled through the comments, each one felt like a stark reminder of the deeply rooted issues she had long fought against in her career. The diversity of opinions reflected the complex landscape of race relations in America, a terrain Ayala had navigated her entire life. The video's rapid spread showed no signs of slowing down. Ayala's heart raced as she realized the enormous platform she now had to address these systemic problems. This was no longer just about one traffic stop in Orlando. It had become a national conversation about the treatment of Black individuals by law enforcement. In their offices across town, the Orlando Police Department scrambled to craft a response. Their statement, when it finally came, was carefully worded but did little to quell the growing controversy. The awkward explanations given by the officers during the stop had become a focal point for discussions about police training and implicit bias. Ayala took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over her phone's keyboard. She knew her response would be crucial in shaping the narrative, in pushing for real change. The weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders, not just as the state attorney, but as a voice for countless others who had faced similar situations without the protection of her title or legal knowledge. As she began to type, Ayala couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was larger than herself. The viral video transformed a personal encounter into a national reckoning on racial profiling and police accountability. Her words now had the power to ignite meaningful dialogue, to challenge long-held assumptions, and to push for concrete reforms in law enforcement practices. With a mix of determination and trepidation, Ayala prepared to step into the media storm. She knew the coming days would be a whirlwind of interviews, statements, and difficult conversations. But as Florida's first Black state attorney, she was no stranger to breaking barriers and challenging the status quo. This unexpected spotlight offered a rare opportunity to address the systemic issues she had long fought against, and Ayala was ready to seize it with both hands. In the eye of the media storm, Ayala faced a choice that would echo through courtrooms across America. The viral video of her traffic stop had thrust her into the spotlight, and as Florida's first Black state attorney, she knew her response would carry immense weight. Ayala sat at her desk, surrounded by stacks of papers and legal tomes, carefully crafting her public statement. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as she considered the gravity of the moment. This was about countless others who had faced similar situations without the protection of her title or legal knowledge. The weight of their stories pressed upon her, urging her to speak truth to power. As she approached the podium, a sea of cameras flashed before her. Ayala's heart raced, but her face remained a mask of determination. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. Her voice rang out clear and strong, cutting through the tension in the room. "My goal," she began, "is to have a constructive and mutually respectful relationship between law enforcement and the community." The words hung in the air, a beacon of hope amidst the storm of controversy. Ayala continued, laying bare the realities of racial profiling and the urgent need for systemic reform in law enforcement. Ayala's words resonated across the country, sparking difficult conversations in police departments, courtrooms, and living rooms alike. Social media exploded with reactions, her statements shared and debated by millions. Activists and commentators amplified her message, questioning the legitimacy of the officer's actions and calling for accountability. Community leaders and civil rights organizations rallied behind Ayala, seeing in her a powerful ally in the fight for equality under the law. Their support bolstered her resolve, reminding her that she wasn't alone in this struggle. As the dust began to settle, Ayala knew that words alone weren't enough. She announced initiatives aimed at improving relations between law enforcement and the community, including increased transparency in police procedures and the creation of a civilian oversight board. What had begun as a source of frustration and fear had transformed into a catalyst for real, tangible change. The road ahead would be challenging, Ayala knew. Systemic change rarely came easily or quickly. But as she looked out at the assembled crowd, their faces a mix of hope and determination, she felt a surge of optimism. The traffic stop that had initially seemed like a personal slight had become a pivotal moment in her career and a spark for reform in the criminal justice system. Ayala was ready to fan that spark into a flame of lasting change. As the dust settled on Aramis Ayala's unexpected journey from a routine traffic stop to national headlines, the true impact of her experience began to emerge. Her courage in confronting systemic bias resonated with millions, inspiring others to question authority and demand accountability. The body camera footage, viewed by countless people across the country, became a pivotal moment in police training academies, sparking uncomfortable but necessary conversations about implicit bias in racial profiling. In the weeks that followed, police departments across the nation found themselves under renewed scrutiny. Community leaders and activists rallied around Ayala's story, using it as a catalyst for long overdue reforms. The air buzzed with a palpable energy as people from all walks of life joined the cause, their eyes alight with determination to see real change. Ayala knew the real work was just beginning. Turning momentary outrage into lasting change would require sustained effort and unwavering commitment. She threw herself into the task, working tirelessly to implement new policies and training programs within her jurisdiction. Her office became a beacon of hope for those seeking justice in a system that had long failed them. As she sat at her desk late one evening, the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders, Ayala couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The true test of her impact would lie in the day-to-day interactions between law enforcement and communities of color. She took a deep breath, her resolve strengthening with each passing moment. The road ahead was long, but Ayala was determined to keep fighting, one day at a time, for a justice system that truly served all Americans equally. Join our community of people who believe in justice, empathy, and powerful storytelling. By subscribing, you're not just watching, you're part of a movement that values real stories and change. Add us to your daily routine and make every story count. Subscribe and join us each day for stories that make an impact.